Hey, what's up everybody? Danny here with The Neighbor's Kitchen and welcome to the channel. Hey, we've been checking out a lot of new stuff, new tech, new gadgets on the channel lately. I thought today that perhaps we'd kick it old school and reverse the time frame a little bit. I have a buddy, his name is Nick, and he likes to hang out at junkyards trying to find cool decorations and automotive parts, and he found this cool cast iron, kinda like from the Titanic looking kind of thing, but it looks to be in pretty decent condition as far as integrity. Yes, it's not in good condition, but I think we can save it. And in this video, for the first time ever, I am going to attempt a little bit of electrolysis. Look at that. I'm pretty sure this is hand hammered. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm excited about this. Let's go ahead and let's get a little better camera on this guy, get our eyes on it, and then I got everything out. We're gonna try to get this all nice and cleaned up to pure metal, and then we're going to re-season it on a propane grill to see if we can get this nice and operational again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let's get reviving. All right. So what is this thing? I don't know. I was not there when Nick recovered this for me. You can kind of see the heavier rust is all on one side. So it's probably sitting like this, and it was probably sitting in something else. So it had a lot of water, and it was probably sitting this way. This, I don't believe is going to be a deal breaker. I think that's going to clean up nicely. There may be some heavy pitting on the side where the water was, but I think the bottom is going to clean up nicely. As to what I think this is, I think it is a chicken cooker. I think this slot here had a cantilever. Put the lid in that way, and then it sits on here. And then I bet it had something that went through here, and then you took it up and over, and it didn't necessarily build pressure like a pressure cooker, but it probably held steam, and maybe if you were frying chicken, it would keep grease from making a fire. I don't know. This doesn't have any logos or proof of origin or even a vintage on it. The handle's really cool. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably, especially coming from a local junkyard, I bet there was an old house that got demolished and somebody turned this in for scrap value. I don't know, guys, 40s, maybe 50s, maybe older. It does have this really cool hand hammered pattern on the outside that ends just into the bottom. There is no heat ring on it like modern cast iron, but the bottom seems to be in good condition. I don't see any fractures, which makes me think we can restore this and use it and put it into our collection, no problem. The only marking on it, and this is going to be really hard to make out on camera. Yeah, it's not picking up. There's a K right there. I do not believe that K means Korea. I think that is just the name of this mold from a local or maybe regional foundry here in southern Ohio. It might have had a matching K lid for the chicken cooker. I don't know. I have taken pictures of this from left, right, front, back, sideways, in and out, and put it to AI, and it does not find any mass-produced match. It is just under 10 inches diameter on the top, probably 8 inches on the bottom. I think this is a wonderful candidate to restore. And since we don't know the story that this thing has leading up till now, I think it'd be really fun to add this into our collection, not just throw it on the shelf as some kind of a collection, but actually cook with it. So I picked up some stuff from Home Depot today, borrowed a few things from a few buddies, and let's try electrolysis for the first time and get this nice and cleaned up. All right, so electrolysis is a system that I looked up the definition of and could not memorize because I like to cook things and I'm not a scientist. We're going to use a battery charger and we're going to put against each other the positive and the negative of 12 volts. I'll explain why I chose a battery charger versus a battery here in just a minute. And then apparently it uses some sacrificial steel. This gets positively charged and all the junk on our pot is going to leapfrog from here onto here. I think I have that right. Listen guys, I went to school for digital design, not metallurgy and 12 volt stuff, but that's okay. The first hurdle that we're gonna have is this was the biggest clear bucket that I could find at Home Depot today. Now, if you are following along and using this as a how-to, you don't need a clear bucket. It does have to be plastic, and if you don't believe me...
You know, that's another thing. Why you got me running around town trying to find some stupid piece of plastic when I have a perfectly good tub I can use?
I just wanted clear plastic because I thought that as we go through this process, that might make for a better video to actually see what's going on underneath the sea, behind the scenes. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to have a little bit of difficulty getting this just lined up. The anode and the cathode, they cannot touch or else that could be bad. This is the anode. This is our sacrificial metal. That is the cathode, which will take our negative battery terminal. So what I've done so far is I just cut some scrap pieces of 2x4 and let's head on over here and see. Yep. All right, so if we just kind of start eyeballing here, we want the liquid to flow evenly around it. This would be a good place for it. And then these could be right here. So let's focus on this first. Found an old clamp that I don't care about. If this gets destroyed, it's not going to bother me. That was not my intent, but I'm okay with that. You can see it is free hanging. I'm not mad at that. I'm not going to touch it. These are some battery leads from when I was 16 years old and had to have a subwoofer. Glad I didn't throw that away. So I think what we'll do, we're going to leave the clamp as kind of our holding mechanism. And And to get our power to the piece we're trying to restore, whoa, strap it to that. So there's that. Here's our negative battery terminal connected to the pot. Chicken cooker. Not sure what we're calling this yet. Now here's our sacrificial metal. This is the anode. I don't know what these came from. Already had these 4 holes drilled in it. I made these holes bigger and I indexed them to be on that side because I found this scrap bolt that I thought we could put in there with 2 washers in the middle, another piece of 18-year-old Danny subwoofer cable. And that way, if we space these out a little bit, we'll have more surface area of water getting through there. I feel like if we just strap these together like that, we'd be wasting the surface area between the two. Alright, there we go. We have a gap between the two, so we're maximizing our surface area. We have a conductor in the middle coming from a strap. This guy should probably go over here. This is already like a kickstand. I bet this can sit on the bottom. And then I'm going to use this 2x4 as something to set the jumper cable, the alligator clips on to attach to that. This is what we're using for our conductor. It's got to be washing soda, whatever this is called. It cannot be baking soda. Okie and dokie. Everything that I found online said roughly to use about a tablespoon per gallon of whatever vessel it is that you're using. This was the smallest package of this that they sold at Home Depot. So I guess we could start a cast iron reclamation business. So this is a 9-gallon vessel. So we'll do 1, 2, and 9. All this is doing is it's acting like a bit of a conductor in the water, I guess. So now we have our anode in here. We have our cathode in here, which is what we're restoring. It is free floating so that the water can get all the way around it. And it is low enough that the water will cover everything. We have our battery lead that we can connect to the battery charger. Hot-ta! All right, we got full coverage. We'll go a little bit higher in case while I'm asleep tonight, if enough water evaporates and leaves something uncovered. We don't want that. We don't want to come back and do this again. I think that'll do it. Yeah, okay. I had a thought while I was filling up the electrolysis tank, kettle, bucket. I don't know what we'll call this. I don't know if our anode or cathode is going to get hot during this. So right now, our anode is sitting on the bottom So I wonder if we ought to figure out a way to elevate it so that it's not sitting directly on plastic. I think the best way to do that, since we are in a wood shop, is bust out a clamp and we'll just raise it up off the bottom. There we go. And now it's not touching anything. I kind of thought that would mix in a little better. We got a lot of powder on the bottom. Yeah, it's pretty well mixed. I think it just settles. Come on in here, check this out for a minute. So it looks a little bit ratchet. We got an Irwin clamp holding up our anode, but he's not touching anywhere. We got our cathode, which is what we're trying to restore, being held up by a clamp. If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. And we got our 9-gallon vessel ready to go. It's time to apply power. So I borrowed this unit from my buddy because the battery charger that I have is more modern and will likely sense that something is being abused and it'll shut off and it won't work. This is, it even says right here, manual. This is how you boil batteries. If you have a dead battery and want to beat it into submission for like 3 more trips, that's your guy. But it also has a nice low and slow, like we're barbecuing, 2 amp option. Initially, when I started planning this video, I was going to use an old camper battery. They're already deep cycles. They're okay to draw all the way down to 0. I'm sorry. They're okay to draw down to 0. But there's absolutely no protection there. At least here, if something goes awry, we have the protection of a breaker. I suspect this is going to take overnight to get clean. So when I go to sleep, I want to be at the utmost peace of mind. So we're not using a battery. Let's go ahead and get this set up here. So positive goes towards our anode, and our cathode, which is the pot, gets the negative. This is set to off starting from the get-go. I'm going to plug this in. Let's just double check this. Positive to the anode. Negative runs up there to our pot. Nothing is touching. Let's go. Two amps. We'll put it to hold, but let's just experiment and put it to 15 minutes. And see what happens. Oh! I no sooner put the other camera down and it already started working. Look at that. I'm not seeing the pot do anything yet. It's got air bubbles on it, but this is 100% reacting. The whatever material bolt I used is not happy. We're just 15 minutes into this, and I gotta show you an update. The anode is oxidizing really quickly. But look at this. The rust is just falling off of our pot. And look at all these nasty floaties just being sucked right off of this. There's rust hanging up at the top here. It's kind of a disgusting color already. Look at that. So this is certainly working, and it's working quickly. I think it's going to take a while, which is okay. We're going to let this cook overnight. The thing that I am the most excited about this, since we do not know the vintage of this pot or whatever it excuse me, this is probably the most gentle way. So if there is some bad rust damage that we didn't see upon initial inspection, I don't think this is going to damage it anymore, whereas if we used power tools, we could chip something off. And I mean, I don't know how to repair that anyway, but I think this is going to be cool. I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, so it is the next day. Hello, everybody. We're at about hour 17 into this. Just did a little bit of research, and I thought that it would stop bubbling when it was done, but it turns out it just keeps on bubbling as long as the battery charger is on. That's off-gassing hydrogen. That is why the window is cracked, because we do not need a Hindenburg moment at the neighbor's kitchen. Can you guys hear that? Good night. So yeah, it's raining here. It's all of the humidity, which is going to be just fantastic for raw steel. But whatever. Let's go ahead, let's turn this off. See here. Nah, it's not even warm. Our battery leads, not even warm. Moment of truth here, folks. Let's just see here. This is the worst of it down here. Yeah, we got some undesirable texture. Yeah. I can't tell if that's old steel or old seasoning. I think that's old steel. Ooh. I better go get the dog. I think my move here is let's put it back in the tank for a little while longer before we scrub on it with some brushes. There, that K is. Now let me go over here. The K is popping out. Remember we couldn't see that yesterday with the rust? It's doing really well. I like how there's the hand hammered texture even in the handle. Bottom seems to be in good condition. It's just the inside bottom that seems to be a little flaky. Let's see if we can get this cleaned up with electrolysis. And then maybe before we reseal it, maybe we run a sander at the bottom to see if we can make this a viable non-stick solution. Maybe at the end, we'll do the egg test. Get this all seasoned and see if we can get an egg to without a spatula. Sadie, how do you feel about storms? Understood. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, was that ever an adventure? We're going to abbreviate everything outside of the electrolysis part on this pot, since that's not really what this video was about. But check this thing out. Oh, I would say not bad. Why don't you come on over here? Check this out. We got a nice hand hammered texture, unscathed. I did end up using a wire wheel on this. The black sludge did not come away easily with a sponge or nylon brush. The bottom seasoned very nicely. There's the underside of our handle. There's that K, which I believe is the designation of this mold. M-O-U-L-D. I did take sandpaper to the bottom. This is very smooth. It's a little bit pitted. There is some strange discoloration on occasion. See that there, this here. I think what that's from is when I seasoned this, it has 2 coats of avocado oil and then 3 coats, I can't count, total of 5 coats, 2 avocado oils. I noticed that that was not that beautiful black color that I kind of desire. So 2 coats, very high temperature avocado oil, followed by 3 coats of olive oil to get this beautiful black color. And I'm wondering if this discoloration isn't just some of the avocado oil layer poking through. I love this. This is so cool. That I don't know why I can't say that. Hand hammered on the inside of the handle. I don't know. I think this is pretty neat. I'm a big fan of this. Yeah. No, all I did was light coat of oil all the way around. Put this upside down in my propane grill. The avocado oil needed a higher temperature than the olive oil. But there we have it. I'd say that's a pretty restored chicken cooker, pot, pan, whatever this thing is. So guys, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me from this little experiment. If you were looking for more guidance on how to re-season cast iron, let me know. I'll make that video at a later date. This was more about answering the question if electrolysis is a viable option for cast iron cookware restoration. This is pretty neat. I'm pretty excited to use this thing. Question for you guys. Does this seem familiar to you? Is there anybody else in the Southern Ohio region who might have anything that looks like this? Where did it come from? I don't know. Kind of think I'd like to find a lid that fits it. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but very excited to have this back into my cookware. I'd like to just say thank you once again for hanging out with me today. I don't know if we'll do electrolysis again on the channel or not. Let me know what you think. What has your experience been with it? But yeah, I think perhaps we ought to cook, let's cook an egg with this thing. I don't know, why not? First cook in who knows how many years. All right. Look at that. That, my friends, is the texture and non-stickiness that we're looking for on a properly seasoned cast iron pan. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know that video got a little bit long and I abbreviated some of the stuff that you may have wanted to see, so if I missed anything, let me know in the comments below if you want to go over more in depth the steps we did to season cast iron. Guys, thank you so much. Once again, Danny here with the Neighbor's Kitchen. Until next time, be well.